Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about 4 really powerful steps you can take if you lean a little bit more avoidant. So perhaps you're a fearful avoidant or a dismissive avoidant, or even somebody who's dominantly secure but has some like DA tendencies or edges to your attachment style, and you want to communicate to your more anxious leaning partner, particularly AP or FA leaning anxious, that you need space. And it could be because you are emotionally dysregulated, you're frustrated, you're a little burned out from your day, from your week. These are 4 steps that you can take to really get this point across in a healthy way and in a way that's well received by your partner or loved one. So the first step is to give transparency or context. So let the person know your why. It doesn't have to be like overly explained or this huge thing, but you can say, hey, I need a little space to be on my own because that's how I recharge when I'm tired. Or you can say, hey, I need a little space because I'm burned out. Or if it's in an argument, you can say, hey, I need some space to process how I'm feeling. Okay, so you just give transparency or context for why. This will help so much, especially with somebody who's AP, because who's anxiously attached, because what they tend to do is they assume when there is no context and when there's sort of this like gray area for why you need space, they tend to assume their own worst fears. That's what we all tend to do until we reprogram these things. So basically what happens is you'll say, I need space, and the AP will hear or feel or assume at a subconscious level based on their core beliefs, oh, you're about to leave. You're going to take space and not come back. You're going to need space indefinitely. You're going to leave me all alone. You're going to abandon me. All these sorts of really painful things that are really uncomfortable to feel. So by just giving context, it stops that from happening, and it allows the anxious individual to sort of be able to regulate better and allow that space a little bit more effectively and healthily. So really important step to take. Step 2 is if you would like to go a step even further, if this is a close relationship, a loved one, and you know that they have a big core wound around abandonment or feeling not good enough, you can let them know and sort of help equilibrate it. You can just let them know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving the relationship. I just really need this time to myself. Okay. And if it's a burnout, so that's assuming you're in sort of a dysregulated argument. But if it's more of a, you're burnt out, you can say, hey, I'm happy with how things are going, but I just need space for myself this evening. So giving that extra like equilibration, like I'm happy how things are going, or I think you're great, or I'm not going anywhere, is sort of debunking their core wounds of being abandoned, rejected, not good enough, these sorts of things. And so by doing that proactively, you're actually significantly more likely to get your needs met as a person. It's a very powerful thing to be able to do. By the way, if anybody wants to work on core wounds, we're doing a 14-day free trial to PDS. And we have our emotional mastery and belief reprogramming course and our advanced core wounds course that any major core wound you're focusing on, the advanced core wounds course is like a resource course. You can dive in there, you can see what core wound you're stuck on, and you literally will get the exact tools from all areas of that core wound that you need to reprogram it and literally like essentially get rid of it from your subconscious mind. And there's really, really powerful worksheets and details, all that stuff you can go in, you can print off, you can check out. 14-day free trial is for the month of May. And it's a gift that is there for you just for this month specifically. So you can really like get through some of the content. And if there's something you really need support on, that support is there. And even if you can't commit after, that's totally fine. Come in, check it out, use the resources. Number 3. The third major thing here is to define your space. Now, I understand that not everybody, especially our more like avoidant leaning individuals, not everybody necessarily knows how much space they're going to need. They just know they need space for now. And that's sort of like where they're operating from. But if you can give a little bit of space, like let's say you define it a little bit, it can be a very useful tool as well. So even if you can say like, hey, I just need some time to myself, maybe an hour or two, I'll be back in a little bit. Or perhaps if you need the night to yourself, you might just say, hey, like I just need the rest of the night to myself. I think I'll hopefully feel recharged again tomorrow and I'll chat with you then. So it doesn't have to be like, I will be ready in 42 minutes and 70, I guess we don't have 79 seconds, but 42 minutes and 17 seconds. Like rather than giving an exact measure, sometimes like just giving some sort of measure, again, it helps that person who can be really anxious. It helps them like have context and clarity and be like, okay, this is how long you're going to be gone for. And you're welcome if they check back in the next day and you still need a little bit more space for the afternoon, to extend that and say, hey, I thought I'd feel better by now. I still need a little bit more time to myself. You're welcome to do that and kind of like renegotiate it. But by giving that amount of time, it really helps that person be like, okay, this is you. Now it actually gives them sort of like room, permission, full like availability to just focus on the relationship to themselves at that time and what they need to do to self-soothe. And number 4, it's really important to reiterate when you do need that space, that you truly do need the space. Because we all tend to project from our perception, we tend to like assume that what I would need, you must need. But then when you have different opposing attachment styles, then it can be really confusing, because a lot of APs will be like, oh, well, if I said I needed space, I would really be testing the person to see if they really care about me. And I would want to see a grandiose gesture to express their care. So, or something along those lines. That's just one example, right? But so the AP often assumes at a subconscious level of their partner that if somebody says they need space, they actually need validation or reinforcement. So then they'll do these validating, reinforcing things that accidentally cross the boundary of their more avoidant partner, who often truly needs space at that time. And so by being the avoidant partner that needs to communicate this, if you just say, hey, I need space and I actually need space to regulate right now or to feel better. This is how I operate. And I know that you're sort of different in that way, but I really need this based on who I am, my programming and my needs. And it will feel like a violation of a boundary if that gets infringed upon for the next little bit. And by being really clear that you truly need it, that your programming is different from their programming, and that it will feel like a boundary violation if that space is infringed upon, you help get that message across more clearly. And again, it gives you the opportunity to communicate in a way that can be heard, understood, really land with the more anxious partner, who then really has a duty to kind of like give you that space and respect your boundary, and then has that duty to also have to focus on self-soothing themselves. Now, of course, if this is this like space forever thing where you never come back, or you need space for 5 days at a time all the time, then like that may be an incompatibility issue, right? Like if somebody's not willing to honor that, that's probably not going to be in most people's wheelhouse to keep honoring 5 days of space. And that may not necessarily be like the healthiest approach to an interdependent relationship. That's more of like a counter-dependent relationship. But I'm specifically talking about a few hours at a time, the rest of the evening, maybe into the next morning, or when you're triggered or in an argument. These sorts of things are really important to communicate. And if you are the more avoidant person listening to this video about how to communicate this, and you find yourself needing space for days and days at a time as a repetitive pattern, that's something that I really recommend looking into in terms of like how to move the needle back to healthy interdependence, where you can maintain that relationship to yourself and be there for somebody else too. And if it's too in excess, then doing a little bit of dismissive avoidant reprogramming on your attachment style will help you feel more secure and healthy in your close romantic relationships. So I hope that all makes sense. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.